Hello again, this is Helen Dockrell from Notitia. In this video, we're continuing the series where I talk you through an example client project. At this stage, we're at the point of developing a strategy or a wireframe for whatever your process is. So for this client, let's say they have interest in developing both a web solution and a BI solution, and both of those things are going to be facilitated by an update to their IT infrastructure. The IT infrastructure that's required to underpin both of these solutions is something that we want to make sure is approved by the client and also by whoever their current third-party IT provider is or whoever their internal IT services as well. What we'll typically do is draw up an infrastructure diagram that explains both on a more summarized level and then separately on a more detailed level what all of the proposed IT infrastructure would be. Typically, if a client is coming to us with a current IT infrastructure process that they want to change, what we'll do is we'll draw out the situation as it currently is so that everyone from the client side can be on the same page in terms of what the current situation is. And then we'll draw out the goal end state. So what we'll be doing there is saying, this is what we propose to do and what we think would be a good solution. However, this is something you should consider as a draft so that you can review it internally. We'll talk about it together in a meeting and make sure that you're actually happy with this implementation and it's not missing anything that you had sort of forgotten to bring up during any of those previous meetings where we explored the current state. In parallel to that, we'd be exploring parts of your analytics process for the BI setup. That might look like a quick review of which systems different parts of the business use, what sort of data sources they use, whether that's repeated between different parts of your business, whether there's overlapping business definitions of certain KPIs or measures, whether there's anything that ideally we'd consolidate before moving forward, whether there's any QA requirements, and who's going to be doing what work in terms of updates to that system. So the idea is mapping it out as it is right now and mapping out a potential future state as well. Typically, we'd then also give this to you in draft form so that you can go and review that internally. Again, check for anything that doesn't align with your goals or your understanding of the current or future process goals. Say for this example client, they also want to get started on a web-based project. Again, what we'd be doing is mapping out what the current understanding of the users for that web project are. So say, for example, you want to develop a web app and you want some of your own clients to use that. You want it also to be used internally. What we'd be doing is checking that our understanding of those users matches your understanding of those users. We'd bring in our design team for this stage to make sure that our understanding of those users and their requirements is really clearly mapped out and that we have a shared understanding between ourselves and yourselves. What would come out of that would be a sketched out version of your current users and your planned users for the web solution, as well as a sketched out idea of what that web solution would look like visually and what it would look like for each user type. At this stage, it's very much a sketch, a draft stage, and the idea, again, just as for the IT infrastructure and for the analytics areas of this work, the idea would be that then it's a draft version that we can talk through together and that you can review internally as well to check if that actually meets your needs or whether there's any gaps at this stage. So the idea of this entire phase is that it's pretty intensive in terms of us working together as a client and Notitia. But the idea is that we all get on the same page and we have a really solid plan going forward for how we work together and what our goals look like.